She Loves Me by Péter Esterházy, translated by Judit.
A woman. There's this woman. She loves me. She calls and says my name. Month after month, she repeats my name like some magic formula. I wonder when she sleeps. In the space of 10 seconds, she manages to say my name a dozen times. Though in the long run, this figure is not wholly accurate, for periodically she takes a sip of water. I have so far refrained from talking into the phone. I'm afraid she might go into shock. Or who knows? Maybe she's got the wrong number.
Margit Szécsi, the 1935 Glass Swan.
But I do know the greatest reality is vision hereditary. The vision of the hill, the sun, the words composed for self-defense. The vision of the one whose feet I wash, and whom I chase from sacred places, for whom I gladly die. For as a child, that wandered summer, his fate reached out to me. I called him by his name, no stranger.
János Szentmártoni, an answer to your question, translated by Owen Good.
For there in the corner, you'd lit a lamp, when inside me the town was out. For not with my own death, but only life, I'll pay this all back bit by bit. For when I'd lose my way, you'd show to me a path I'd known ages ago. For making Wednesdays, Mondays, holy days, and conjuring Tuesday into Sunday. For I'd embrace you on a Thursday too. Saturdays we'd open up. Before we'd see that, I, during the night, became a Friday in your garden. No, please, you're not to blame yourself for this. Besides, we've seen too much for that. See, I'm the one who's always the more foolish. And tell me, when my madness stirs, for you grew fruit where all my mouth could taste was quinine bitter memories. For you were brave, carrying and bearing a child to a lover of iron-hearted skies. For you became dawn right there and then, while I was a lamb herding dusk, not asking who I was, where I was from, but opening wide your sun-bright gaze. For sometimes leaving, dying out inside me, a flute's tune on a shady crag, I'd squandered precious fortunes of your care for stained and rusted shrapnel coins. For you taught me to worship our own bodies, that should flesh crack its sorry shell and spark a flame wherever pleasure touches, not to suspect the joy that's there. For I began to hurt anew, to breathe, weeping, whimpering for your breast, to bear up to the illusion of your absence, your non-existent, non-potential kiss. For there, in the corner, you'd lit a lamp, when inside me the town was out. For not with my own death, but only life, I'll pay this all back, bit by bit.
György Rostás-Farkas, Dream and Reality, translated by Owen Good.
Would that I could love you, so that always I'd be you, eternal dream and reality, a prayer sprouting from you. I'd be one with you. By night and day, you'd be the blood inside me. May your love like a waking lamp burn over me. Let me be your heaven and earth, your sad grey cloud, your womb's sweet fruit. Would that I'd be the path beneath your feet, from which you never strayed.
There's this woman. She loves me. It's just that I must wait my turn. When we go out to dinner, there are always 6 or 7 other men besides me. They're adorable. The woman thinks so too. For the sake of the truth, this is her opinion. I merely share it. She has a way of sneaking up on me and whispering in my ear, "Look, aren't they adorable?" She's proud. They're the apple of her eye.
Advent by Tibor Babiczky, translated by Timea Balog.
My friend and I were sitting at a bar, drinking dark beer and whiskey, watching the sluggish bartender behind the taps. The beer wasn't bothered by anything. The beer would have ran over the rims of glasses, over the rims of mouths. But the guy was slow, patient, persistent. He waited. He tamed the golden brown animal before him. We were sitting at the bar, my friend and I, counting down the past, change hitting the glass. We meditated on the future, brought up an old mutual friend, how he'd lost his way, messed up, doesn't stand a chance. We finally stepped out onto the street, drunk. And steaming there before us on the sidewalk on that November night was a pile of shit. Human or animal? It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. You going home? I'm going. We shook hands, headed home in 2 directions. It was cold, foggy. Winter had already dressed up and was waiting patiently backstage. I walked. I was cold. I fished out a cigarette. When the flame of the lighter came to life, I thought about how that pile of shit on the sidewalk in front of the bar was probably frozen by now. And while I shivered and blew smoke and my steps knocked along the sidewalk, I thought about what it was that kept you with me so long. And if I haven't turned yet, what will turn me against you in the end?
There's this woman. She feels about me the way I feel about her. She loves me. She hates me. When she hates me, I love her. When she loves me, I hate her. All other eventualities are out of the question.
Gerevich András, Cage, translated by Christopher White.
Half drunk at daybreak, stinking of cigarettes, I slipped into the church, exhausted after a night spent crushing into parties, to kneel down before Christ amidst the palms. A teenager, I loved making such lonely visits to the empty, noiseless church, so as to send a prayer up for true love. Because I was secretly in love with my best friend, torn apart, tortured with longing for the man in him. But once I'm through the door today, I can get no further than the grating. In a car alarm scream, the words I cannot find are like sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
There's this woman. She loves me, though it might be a whole lot better if she hated me too. It would make for a stronger bind. It would be just too awful if one enchanted evening she were to kick me out, show me the door. So I must chain her to me, no matter how, as long as the chain is good and strong. I humiliate her if I must, or she me. You're my destiny. You are what you are to me. Which is better, I ask? She doesn't give me a straightforward answer. At least we share a lottery ticket.
Omega by Tibor Babiczky, translated by Timea Balog.
Street lamps on the closing curve. Off-white silk skirts swish. It's midnight. Growing claws, tomorrow hangs on to yesterday. The city laid out after rain like a freshly washed corpse. Love's not enough for anything. It does not turn deceit good. It does not obstruct spite. It does not ease death. There has to be something else beyond love.
Chemicals by Márton Simon, translated by Timea Balog.
She doesn't write me anymore. This is so simple that the mathematical parallels used in the vernacular are too complicated in comparison. This is the contraction of unnecessary bonding in the language. That there's the sun. All love means is standing there and not knowing what to do. There's a spot in the ocean that's closer to space than any shore. The story breaks here. We can only say one thing. According to some sources, that night a fox stole into his tent and chewed off his lips while he slept. After that, all he could whisper was, snow. In my dreams, a dark, insufferable figure breaks things. I'm that figure. Once someone stood in front of him, which scared him and woke him up, so that afterwards he could only try to fall back to sleep in vain, because for a long time he had saved a sentence just for her. You're beautiful, like two knives. Well, this is Wednesday. No, I don't care what % of the human body is water, and don't you count for me how many times you could bathe inside me. I don't care for washing my face. Take it out of me. Take out what you threw in me, left in me. Take yourself out right now, for the love of fucking God. Or as sweet season showers are to the ground. Or the constellation of gum stuck to the sidewalk. Or bedding stuffed with the sound of seagulls. Or the porn star that's been inexplicably painted head to toe in gold. The sun. It'd be really helpful to know the right way now. Whichever direction we turn in now, we're just floundering toward thirst. About 7,000 kilometres from here, an unknown man is making fridge magnets that resemble beach towns with the word Croatia on them, from polyurethane resin, while standing next to a hydraulic press. Tomorrow, he'll press 12,000 more magnets with the same design under a Lisboa inscription. He's 33, he can't read any of them inscriptions, but he assumes they are resort towns. He'll never visit them. The word memory is inscribed on his jacket. There's a thing that everyone sings about, but no one really talks about. I hold it up high and show it to everyone. See? This is what I lost. We live on the 3rd floor. Something is standing before our window. It has colour, and it furiously demands meaning.
There's this woman. She loves me. She loves me a lot. She constantly gets herself hitched to somebody else. Then after the wedding, she cries on my shoulder not to be consoled. Oh, I'm such a slut. I cheerfully agree. Also, she invests non-stop. Secures loans for newlyweds, then flirtatiously suggests I do the same. Her feet are a size 43 at the very least. Your feet's too big. And her toenails are chipped.
Takács Zsuzsanna, My Library of Lovers, translated by Rachel Hideg.
My library of lovers, I rest my head on your knees. My fingers trace the length of your spines, so many nights of whispered words. You are as tender now as when our ardor dawned. No jealousy distorts your faces. With lowered eyes, you cede your places. The monster sleeps, though its eyelids flicker with the weight of tears. My library of lovers, I rest my head on your knees.
János Áfra, Earth, Water, Air, translated by Owen Good.
The forest trees already braced. The soil is worked loose by the oaks. The earth can feel its beaten tracks. Upon it winding paths diverge, and in another, a 3rd direction, the weight of footsteps merge. A downpour quickens the heartbeat, quickens the knocking of feet, washing away all trace or scent, and the forest path reclaims its face. A doorknob wanting to be held, thrill, anticipated on our skin, warm tiles beneath our feet, discarded garments lying strewn, and the damp scent of movement. The union lasts for 60 minutes, but when I let air into the room, the curtains carry on in time with the near branches, as if we were free in this moment still.
There's this woman. She loves me. But it's not about to kill her. I was a personable, slender youth when I once took her snowflowers. Though I don't usually take snowflowers to women or gladiolas. Yet, from time to time, it happens that I take a woman snowflowers. Rarely gladiolas. When this happens, I instantly and always unexpectedly feel pangs of conscience, the numbing, cloying feeling of treachery. When I told her about this, she nodded vigorously in approval of my self-disgust. With the same effort, she declared as she shoved the flowers in a vase, "You could have just as easily fallen in love with me." There's this woman. On even weeks, the 2nd, 4th, 6th, etc., she loves me. On odd weeks, the 1st, 3rd, 5th, etc., she hates me. But regardless of the week, she's hell-bent on changing my life.
Závada Péter, Humming, translated by Mark Botzoni.
Got sleepy on my way to the gym. An irresistible drowsiness caught me on the tram. The grass is sprouting between the tram lines. Wasn't it Prague? We first saw them, grassy like that. Remember the pile of mulch under our window? Hedgehogs made love in it. Standing at the edge of the prefab balcony, I pulled you close. You braced yourself on the air conditioner's metal casing, and the hum of the machine swallowed up your gentle moans. Just remembered, getting off, straight to the toilet in the changing rooms, to tremble, overwhelmed above a small pile of my own feces. Like those dogs in the park in Prague. Brought to mind the shame of my other stoop in that damned white t-shirt. Ever since you gave it to me, I've hunched my shoulders wearing it, forcing my shoulder blades slightly forward, terrified that my over-swollen nipples will show through its thin material and I'll end up looking like my dad in our faded holiday photos. After my mother died, his body started producing female hormones.
There's this woman. She loves me. Do you love me, I ask? Now, why should she? Because we agreed. Agreed to love you. Is that it? That's it. Today, today. Today too, of course. Always. At 10:30. And in January. At the turn of the century. All the time. Or would she like a day off? Fine. Any particular day she has in mind? What do you say to Wednesday? Why Wednesday? Because today is Thursday. What generosity.
Love at First Sight, Judit Ágnes Kish, translated by Richard Robinson.
I didn't believe in love at first sight. It's here now, yet Romeo gave warning, and I took no heed of Juliet. A name, a handshake, that was all. Your image in a flash was seared into my retina, emblazoned on my flesh. You kept the tight grasp of my hand. You couldn't let it loose. Etiquette said, disengage. We didn't give a toss. You knew I had a husband, and I knew about your wife. Immoral primal instincts sweeps such niceties aside. So you became an I for you, the most important person. You saw that I too wanted it. I sensed what your skin yearned for. With me, on me, into me, destination in sight. We try to overlook the fact that both of us are married.
There's this woman. She hates me. She loves me, except she's as scared of my prick as the devil is of incense. It frightens her half to death. Her courage fails her. She clasps her hands together. She screams and jumps on top of the table as if there was a mouse in the room. This is especially awkward when we have company and the table is laid out for supper. It's always laid beautifully, by the way, with lots of taste and invention, sometimes a long gourd runner between the plates. At other times, a yard-long leek stalks splits the table in two, like a sword. Since it's mostly our friends dining with us, they're very understanding. They wait around a while, then, seeing that the Holy Ghost is turning a cartwheel in her, they get their act together and leave, often taking our kids with them and go to a nearby restaurant for dinner. Once we're alone, I try to calm her down. But she calms down only when the mouse is back in its hole. But sometimes she's so scared even this doesn't help. Anyway, until our guests return, we nibble so it shouldn't go to waste. If we have no guests and we're not preparing a big dinner, there's less fuss. On the other hand, dinner is served with a slight delay.